Welcome to the Far Side channel. This is our series on business owner challenges, in which I chat to multiple business owners about the challenges they have faced in building their own business. Today, I am talking to Cindy Dibete of CoSec8. Cindy, so happy to have you join me. Thank you for being willing today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tamryn. Thank you.
Please tell me about CoSec8 and what you do and how you got into it in the first place.
Okay, lovely. So CoSec8 is actually short for company secretaries, and the number 8 is infinity, which is abundance. So it's doing company secretarial in a way that actually would grow one's business, and that's the perspective. And the reason that we look at abundance and prosperity and infinity, things mathematical, is because my background is actually accounting. I was an accountant for the longest part of my life, founded and ran an accounting firm for 14 years. Sure. And I got tired and I sold it. And then I just focused on this part of the business. And the core of it is actually governance, risk, and compliance. And that's what we focus on. That's what we do for our clients so that they set up right their organizations and they run them right, making sure that they're not depleting the value. So it's about value creation, value preservation, and the restoration and the transference of value, either by selling the company or taking it to the next generation or franchising it.
Sure, that's a very important service. And well, I find, because in our accounting, I've still got my accounting firm, but it's quite a challenge to get people to even recognize the need of the service that you are offering. You know, people don't realize how important governance and risk planning actually is for a small business. People think small business, you know, it's just you, it's okay, you don't have to worry about these things. But that's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, the way that we classify the clients, when we take clients on, one of the most important questions that we ask them is to establish if they are building for lifestyle or they're building for, you know, next gen, like I said, whether selling or franchising or taking it to the next generation. And there's nothing wrong with the lifestyle business. And there are lots of entrepreneurs that have started business just so they can do something, put food on the table. And that's what I'm doing, which is more often than not private employment. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But be clear that that's the kind of business that you're in. Rather than being in a business and then you discover later that, you know, it could have actually been maybe something more and packaged in such a way that it can be sold. So I find that it actually really, really helps our clients when they are clear about their exit strategies. And that's our focus point.
That's awesome. I think it's a much needed service. So I'm grateful that you're there. But so tell me how, okay, you obviously got into it because you were an accountant. What was your biggest challenge in building this new business?
Yeah, so it's very interesting, you know, when an accountant and you do the numbers, sometimes one thinks that you're the business person and then you discover that maybe not. And I've heard on some of your recordings talking about the same thing. So I basically started the accounting firm straight from articles. And my motivation and inspiration was looking at the businesses that we used to audit. So I was doing articles and we were auditors and would go out, you know, do obviously external auditors and do the work for the companies. And I realized that most people were really not harvesting the value of the auditor. And it seems a little bit misunderstood in that it kind of focuses on the compliance side of it. Yeah. And it's more about, oh yeah, we need to have our audited financials because obviously, you know, they need to be presented this way and that way and another way, but not really looking at what is the point and what is the value that is locked into that. So while I was doing articles, I then got involved with the so-called box jobs. And I know it's an industry term, but these are small little clients that you don't necessarily have to go to. They bring their books in boxes. That's box job. And we would prepare the accounting and then do the auditing for them. So I got my teeth sunk into the accounting side of it and started putting these books together and started meeting with these people. And there was a common thread in that. Most of them, they really went au fait with what was happening in their businesses, which is sad because you wake up and you give your life to this thing, but you actually don't really know what is happening. So my interest to really serve at that level was cultivated at that point in my life, where even when I made a clear resolution to not do auditing, but go for the accounting side of business, it was still inspired by let's build businesses that can stand. So from that, then I formed the accounting firm. And I was doing it in the same mindset of saying we're building businesses that can have feet, businesses that can next level. But and you, Tamryn, you're the right person to talk to because you're in accounting. You know what it's like. And when you look at your ratio of what you do for the taxman vis-a-vis what you do for the client, sometimes it looks not so correct. And the accounting really started taking up a little bit more of my time than I really would have liked to. And it was a nice business because it afforded me the lifestyle that I wanted to enjoy. So that was great. But I found that there's just so much focus in the tax part of it. Again, just like it happened with the auditing. And then the idea was to shed those parts of it off and focus on business consulting, building businesses, and that was the transition. And you ask what was the most challenging part of that. In making that decision, I had not taken on board the fact that because I was running the governance within the accounting firm, and it grew within the accounting firm and became a cost center, and it was viable. But what I had not taken on board was how much it was dependent on the accounting part of it. So that was an unpleasant surprise because this happens in 2016. And the governance firm I set up with a online-based kind of style in mind. So it was already clouded. Comes COVID, I wasn't surprised. I was, if anything, training everybody to say, we can do this, let's go online. And I could then convince the clients that did not want to go online earlier to go online. So that was the sweet part of it. But to actually get clients coming out to buy the services of governance just straight up as governance services, not tethered to accounting or legal, that was not easy. So marketing was difficult. Languaging it was difficult. Looking at the Google AdWords and what it used and finding what words people are using, board and training and governance and directors are not as common as your accounting, and it made it a hard sell. And that was the hardest part that I had really underestimated.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because the thing is, even with accounting, the majority of people come to us for compliance. They just want us to get the tax man off their back. That's it. Like you were saying with the audits, they don't recognize the value of an auditor.
Yeah.
In order to something, it's a grudge purchase. It's this thing where this person comes into my office and irritates me for 2 weeks, asking for paperwork and all sorts of things, and then I pay them a huge amount of money, and I just get this set of papers, and that's it. It's over, and they pay it because they have to, and they don't recognize how much value there is and how much knowledge is sitting in that person. And if they really actually sat with the auditor and asked them questions and asked for feedback and understood what the auditor was looking for, there's so much more involved. And it's the same thing with governance. Our clients don't realize that they need it. And I think you know, it's very easy for us to stand on the outside and be like, well, you know, obviously you need this. What is wrong with you? Why can't you see that you
I
need this?
know, I
But
know.
you know, they're facing the same problem that we do in a small business. Is
Yes,
we're so focused on what we do. We're so focused on keeping this
yes,
business running and paying our bills
yes,
that we don't look beyond it.
yes.
So
Yeah,
it's a big
yeah.
challenge. I
It
think in
is.
any service industry really is getting a small business owner to recognize that they really need you.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
not just grudge purchase. There's
Yeah,
value there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's lots of value in it. And it's actually so sad. I mean, just talking to the audit part of it, because there's a lot of value that the auditor would have, which goes towards the value of the business and the growth of the business, which is really not enjoyed by most people because of the focus on the garage purchase part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your biggest challenge now? Because you've actually launched something new.
I have launched something new. But so my challenge when I moved from accounting to governance, yes, was the undermining the tethering of the two services. But also one of the things that I realized is that I'm not really the best people manager person. It's not my favorite activity. So that is something that I live with. But I mean, now and there are many different kinds of business models that one can have. And mine is such that I work with freelancers and people that sell services rather than employ, because it really, like, it just did not rub me the right way. It did not rub me the right way. So the challenge that I'm having now, yes, I've got a nice clean model and I've got a team that supports me. We're available. We have the time, we have the skills, the expertise, the resources, and the skill that I'm enjoying and able to put in front of my clients now. It's actually of an even better quality. That's all good and well. But then when one then sells and packaging, positioning, there's still sometimes that pull of saying, well, you're just a one-man show,
Hmm.
which I am, but the setup and the processes are such that my business cannot be dependent on just me.
Hmm.
But then voicing that and communicating that sometimes is still a bit of a challenge. So I've gone on to launch something new just from that mindset of things can be done by embracing AI, which is in other circles a little bit of a swear word because it may define no employment. But I'm saying you have so many executives that are sitting at top of their careers, have expertise, have knowledge, have things that a small and medium business owner may not necessarily have. And you don't have to get these resources and in-house them. You can enjoy access to that information on a pay-as-you-go basis. So I've got an online portal, which is my board port, the second part of my business, which is a product within CoSec. And in my board port, we basically have online advisors, and they're recruited from people who are at top of their industries. And as a business owner, you can go in and select and form yourself an advisory board. And advisory board is different from what we call a statutory or a fiduciary board, in that it's a little bit of a softer landing into board processes. You still retain the agility of your business, the responsibility and accountability, but then you have people that can blind spot check you, to account to, and people that you can work with, which is a lovely, absolutely fantastic platform. And that's the feedback that we're getting from our clients,
I think it's
where
amazing.
I mean, our clients, like, they really rave about it. So you can literally set up a pod. We call them pods. And a pod is basically just like a pot of coffee, a pot of beans, and a pot of everything else that we are potting these days. You set up a pod and you invite 3 or 5 advisors, and then you work through an issue or have an ongoing board using that. And we're honestly getting like really, really, raving reviews on it, because the process of setting up a board, I'm sure most people, once you've looked at it, you can appreciate it takes very long. And then you've set up this board, and then you have your first meeting, your second, then you decide, not really gelling, and then, review and change and whatever. So we cut all of that. You can literally, in a space of 48 hours, have a board, sit your meeting, and discuss an issue, and then it's either once off or ongoing. It works like a charm.
It's amazing. It's such a good concept, because I had a
Yeah.
similar thing when I started my business. I used outsourcing providers. I still use a lot of outsource
Yeah.
providers, and I
Yeah.
think you're going to find it less and less of a challenge moving forward. This concept of being a one-man
Yeah.
show. I think people are understanding that collaboration is the future. That's how we're going to
Yeah.
be building businesses from now on, is actually
Yeah.
dovetailing services rather than
Yeah.
hiring. Not that there's anything wrong with hiring, and where we can. I mean, I have a core team, 4 people. We're a
Yes.
wonderful
Yes.
team. I'm very happy with
Mm.
them. I'll do anything to keep them. Um, and that's great. But I have a huge team of outsource providers for the things that
Yes.
we're maybe not great at, or we don't have time for, and things like that. And it
Yeah.
works fantastically.
Yeah.
It's a great way to
Yeah.
build a business. And I can't think of
Mm.
a better way for a small business to get executive advice
Yeah.
than to outsource, like you've set it up, because you're so right. They need that advice. There's people sitting out there with 30, 40 years of experience that
Mm.
can solve a business owner's problems in 10 minutes if the
Yep.
business owner even knew that they could ask the question.
Right. It
And it's
actually makes such a difference. Such a difference.
huge difference, and it's at a fraction of the cost of hiring someone. You feel like
Mm-hmm.
if you've got to hire, even for accounting, this is something we face a lot. People think they have to hire a bookkeeper for
Yeah.
and even a medium-sized corporation can actually outsource their finance department and maybe only
Mm.
hire a financial manager, which will cost them way less. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially owner-led organizations.
hmm,
Because as an owner-led, accounting may not necessarily be your core skill. Even if it was, you want to focus on the product of the business anyway, you know? And I find using outsourced services is so much more valuable, because when they're in-house, you still need to lead them and give them instruction. It's completely different dynamic, and the relationship is completely different compared to when you're outsourcing it. When a person is outsourced, they come ready, they are literally at CFO level.
yes, exactly.
Um,
And I've always said you get better service as a client than you do as an
yes,
employer. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
and not to down talk, because there's employees out there that are amazing. But definitely you're going to get good service from a supplier. That's because to keep
Yeah,
you as
yeah,
their client, or you move on. So then you don't have to worry.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Look, it's not even to, down talk, as you say, but it's more about there is value for everyone. The market is big enough
Hmm.
for us all. And even the employee that you may take on, you get an even better quality when you're not getting somebody who's maybe just desperate to, you get more passion, and it starts changing the game. It really
Hmm.
does for us all, because at the end of the day, the people that need the service are able to get the service. So you can access the service at different points and different levels, which means that the caliber of the people that we are getting on is that much more better. It's a win-win,
Fantastic.
really.
Really great, yeah. No, I love your concept for my board pod. I think it's such a important thing for small business owners, and well, any business owner really. But
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times. That even in my own business, I have seen how taking on partners and building a board. I'm now sitting with 3 members on the
Yeah.
official statutory board of Farside.
Yeah.
How that has added value to my business, is have those other
Yes.
voices and that the
Yes.
knowledge of those people.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to be able to tap on that in a part-time capacity is extremely valuable for a small business
Yeah,
owner.
yeah, yeah. And if I can just share with you on that, that's exactly what I did when I was positioning my business to sell. Because as a consultants, I mean, every industry, people buy people. People don't necessarily buy services. More so for a consultant. So people were buying me, and I needed to be able to put a distance between myself and the business. And you can appreciate how hard it is to sell an accounting firm because people buy people. So to say, I will not be there anymore and put a price tag on it, that was not like an easy thing, right? And the one way that I achieved it is because I set myself a board and it ran for a couple of years. And it helped me to really distance, but make sure that I'm not taking the value with me. The value is sitting in the business. And that's why I was able to put a price tag on it.
Very clever way of doing it. Yeah, I think very few people recognize that one of the best ways to build value in a business is actually to remove yourself from it. You know, people kind of,
Yeah.
and especially when you're passionate about what you do, you don't even think, you know, you're talking about lifestyle businesses earlier, and you know, even a lifestyle business will benefit from
Yes.
removing removing the dependency on you,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because then you're still building huge value into the business,
Yeah.
and if you remain the owner, you get that value. So it's
Mm-hmm.
still worth doing. And I think
Yeah.
people don't realize how much you devalue your business if
Yeah.
it's completely dependent on you.
Yeah. 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 It's so painful because it's your life's work and it's literally the definition of putting one's eggs in one basket.
Mm.
Because life happens. And when life happens, you don't want to be caught wanting and not being able to have a business that can carry you when life is lifing, you know? Wow.
Yeah, COVID taught us all that in a harsh way,
Yep.
didn't it?
Yeah, that it did.
Yeah. So Cindy, my last question to you then, because I mean, you've been in
Yeah.
this journey for a long time, is what advice would you give your younger self? That something you wish you had
Yeah.
known before you started?
Yeah. That's a good one. Um, there was so when I started, I was 26, and I always define that moment as I had this fire in my gut, right? I was like, and at that point of my life, I was much as I'm selling counsel, I don't think I was very good at taking counsel as in advice myself. And that has become such a catalyst in the
Mm,
evolution of my professional life. It's not even funny. And it's something that, yes, I picked up along the way. And because I'm in industry of it, and it's part of the reasons why I end up doing things like my board pod, because of the appreciation of the value of counsel. So the
mm.
advice that I would give to myself is to pump the brakes and take some counsel,
Stop and
because
listen.
there are instances and moments where I bent my fingers and it was absolutely unnecessary and it could have been avoided, you know.
Mm, mm.
Taking on counsel doesn't mean you're not as smart. And I had incorrectly misinterpreted it as that if I'm gonna take counsel, you're not gonna see my smarts.
I think that's a common thing though, especially in professions like ours where our intelligence is a very large part of what we do.
Yes,
It's
yes.
part of how we sell ourselves, you know, and
Uh-huh.
you don't want to look dumb. You don't want, you know,
No,
it's not something
like,
you want to do. But and I think it does come with maturity. I think because I was also very young when I opened my business, and
mm,
also wish that I had been open to coaching much sooner.
yeah.
So,
Yes,
and
yes,
it comes with maturity where you recognize that you
yes,
need help. You should be asking questions, and actually
yeah.
asking the questions is more of a sign of intelligence than fixing it all
Yep,
yourself. Because you
yep.
can fix it so much faster using someone
Exactly,
else's experience.
exactly, exactly. So there are school fees that I really, really did not need to pay. I did nonetheless. And if I could have a do-over, that'll be that. Look, I also say I don't really have regrets. So it's not regrets, it's about just knowing better. And when we know better, we do better. And that's just, the evolution of it. But yeah, there could have been things that I could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that there are instances and there are moments that will humble you, to be
Yeah.
properly humbled. But yeah, we are here now and we're grateful that, we're able to come all the way, because again, opportunities to give up and close shop and just think it's not worth it and what abuse are there. Moments where there is more time than there is money to take care of, necessities are there as well. And pressures. I mean, I started business fresh from articles, so I never really got to enjoy stability in salary. I've always had to create it myself, which has been absolutely pleasant, because the trade-off was the time that I had and the kind of mom that I could be. And those are things that are important to me. So there is all of that, but there are pains that really could have been avoided.
Yeah. But it makes us better at helping clients. I think when we've made our own
Yes.
stupid mistakes as well, we can
Yes.
see our clients doing it and quickly stop them before they have to pay the
Yeah.
school fees too. So it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we can.
Cindy, thank you so
Yes.
much for sharing with me today. I really enjoyed our chat. If someone is
Absolute
watching
pleasure.
and they
Yeah,
go,
thank
yes,
you.
I'm going to listen to Cindy's advice and I'm going to seek counsel and I want counsel from Cindy, how would they get hold of you?
So on either of my websites, which are, I think, on this presentation here,
Hmm?
CoSec8.co.za or myboardport.com. But I think the best one is CoSec8.co.za. It's got a WhatsApp link on there. You can shoot us a WhatsApp and we're able to respond with some speed. And there's also forms that you can fill, and then, we engage with people from there. But yeah, hitting any of these websites, you can get hold of Cindy.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
I've got the added advantage of having a rare name. So when you type in Cindy Dibete, I have not met one yet. So you're likely to land up on any of my socials. Everywhere I'm Cindy Dibete, and yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll share your LinkedIn as well for anyone who would
Awesome.
just like to connect with you because they liked you while listening to you talk.
That'll be lovely. Thank you so much, Tamryn. Highly
Uh,
appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your knowledge. And hopefully, anyone watching finds it helpful. And if you do, be sure to reach out to Cindy. As I say, even if it's just because you like her and you would like her in your network, do give her a shout. But you would definitely be doing yourself a favor if you seek counsel from Cindy and her team because they will help you build a better business. So,
Thank you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.